Ladies and gentlemen, they say words have power, and I believe the most powerful words are not the ones we hear from others, but the ones we whisper to ourselves. For just 3 days, I want you to try something different. Every morning when you wake up, instead of telling yourself what's missing, tell yourself what's still here. Say to yourself, I am alive, I am capable, I am enough. Do this for 3 days, and watch how your heart begins to feel lighter. When you open your eyes in the morning, the very first words you speak to yourself set the tone for the entire day. Too often, people wake up and immediately remember what is missing in their lives, what went wrong yesterday, or what could go wrong today. That habit of starting the day with worry or regret drains your energy before you even begin. But imagine if, instead, you took just a few moments to say words that lift you up. Imagine starting with a whisper to yourself, I am alive, I am capable, I am enough. These words are not just sentences, they are seeds, and when you plant them into your mind each morning, you give your heart permission to grow in the right direction. Saying I am alive reminds you of the gift of another chance, another sunrise, another opportunity to try again. It makes you see that no matter how many challenges you carry, life itself is still with you. And that means hope is still with you. When you tell yourself, I am capable, you are reminding your mind that even though yesterday may have been difficult, you still carry the strength to face what comes today. Capability is not about being perfect, it is about being willing to keep moving, willing to learn, willing to try. Every human being has this quiet strength inside, but it only comes to the surface when we acknowledge it. And when you start your day with that acknowledgement, you face your tasks with a different kind of courage. You stop shrinking in front of the weight of responsibilities and begin to walk into them with steady steps. And when you finally tell yourself, I am enough, you are choosing to break the cycle of comparison that steals so much joy from our life. Many people wake up and instantly feel less than others, less successful, less beautiful, less talented. But what if, for 3 mornings, you rejected that lie and instead reminded yourself that you are already whole, already worthy, already enough, just as you are? That doesn't mean you will stop growing or improving, but it means you will stop punishing yourself for being in the process. It means you will finally give yourself permission to exist without conditions. These 3 short affirmations may seem simple, almost too simple, but the truth is, simplicity often carries the deepest power. When repeated daily, these words begin to rewire the way your mind speaks to you. They soften the harsh voice of doubt and strengthen the gentle voice of encouragement. The beauty of this practice is that it does not require anything from the outside world. No matter your situation, no matter how heavy your life feels, you can still speak these words into your heart each morning. And when you do, you will notice subtle changes. You will walk differently, breathe differently, and handle challenges differently, because your inner foundation is stronger. The morning is the doorway to the rest of the day. If you walk through it with fear and self-doubt, the hours that follow will be colored with that same heaviness. But if you walk through it with gratitude, belief, and self-worth, you give yourself a chance to experience your day in a brighter light. For just 3 days, try this. Before you pick up your phone, before you step into your routine, pause, place your hand on your heart, breathe deeply, and say, I am alive, I am capable, I am enough. Let those words settle into you like sunlight breaking through the clouds. Trust that these small whispers to yourself will have the power to transform the way you carry your entire day. We live in a world where it feels so easy to point out our own mistakes, to replay the moments we fell short, and to remind ourselves of everything we did wrong. That voice of criticism inside the head often becomes louder than any voice of encouragement. And over time, it chips away at confidence, leaving a person believing they are never good enough. But what would happen if, For just 3 days, you chose to speak to yourself differently. What if you replaced that harsh tone with words of compassion and forgiveness? When you stop criticizing yourself and start treating yourself with kindness, something beautiful begins to shift inside. The same way we grow when others encourage us, we also grow when we encourage ourselves. Self-compassion is not about ignoring mistakes or pretending everything is perfect. It is about acknowledging that you are human, that you are learning, and that making mistakes is part of the journey. When you criticize yourself too much, you create fear inside. You stop taking risks. You stop trying new things because you are afraid of failing again. But when you offer yourself forgiveness, you create safety inside your own heart. You give yourself permission to rise after falling, to keep moving after stumbling. And that is how real progress is made. Think of a child who is learning to walk. When the child falls, the parent does not shout, "You failed, you are useless." No, the parent smiles, encourages and says, "Try again, you can do it." That love and encouragement gives the child strength to stand once more. In the same way, you must become that parent to yourself. Every time you fall, instead of harsh words, tell yourself, "It's okay, I'm still learning. I will rise again." These gentle words are like hands reaching out to lift you up, rather than pushing you down. Forgiving yourself is also an act of freedom. Many people are trapped, not because of what others did to them, but because of what they continue to do to themselves. They replay their failures in their minds every day, keeping the wound fresh. But forgiveness is like removing a heavy chain from your own heart. It does not mean you forget the lesson. It means you refuse to punish yourself endlessly. And when you choose compassion over criticism, you allow healing to take place. For just 3 days, try practicing this every time you notice your inner voice turning cruel. When you catch yourself saying, "I am so stupid, I always mess up," stop, take a deep breath, and change it. Say instead, "I made a mistake, but I am learning. I will do better next time." When you feel like you are falling behind others, instead of scolding yourself, say, "I am moving at my own pace," and that is okay. It might feel strange at first because you are not used to talking to yourself with such gentleness. But the more you do it, the more natural it becomes, and the more peace it brings into your life. You deserve the same kindness you freely give to others. You comfort your friends when they are struggling. You forgive the people you love when they fail. Yet you often deny yourself that same grace. For 3 days, turn the tables. Be your own friend, your own comfort, your own encourager. Treat yourself with patience. Treat yourself with softness. You will notice that your energy changes, your confidence grows, and your heart feels light. Because when the harsh voice of self-criticism is replaced with the gentle voice of compassion, you begin to see yourself not as a failure, but as someone worthy of love, growth, and second chance. Every single day is filled with small victories that often go unnoticed. We are so quick to magnify the big achievements of life, graduations, promotions, awards, that we forget the importance of the little steps that carried us there. Acknowledging one small win every single day may seem insignificant, but it has the power to transform how you see yourself. When you take a moment to pause and recognize even the tiniest progress, you remind yourself that growth is happening even if it is slow. That small act of recognition fuels your motivation, gives you hope, and allows you to keep moving forward with courage. Think about how often you dismiss the things you do right because you consider them too small. You might tell yourself, "It was nothing," or "Anyone could have done it." But the truth is, not everyone did it, you did. Maybe you got out of bed even when you felt like giving up. Maybe you finished a task that you had been postponing. Maybe you chose kindness in a moment of anger. These little victories are worth celebrating because they are proof that you are showing up for life, one step at a time. When you ignore them, You feed the belief that you are stagnant, that you are not moving at all. But when you honor them, you shift your focus from lack to progress. Acknowledging small wins is not about inflating your ego. It is about training your mind to see the positive instead of always focusing on the negative. The human brain has a tendency to hold on to failures more strongly than successes, and that is why self-doubt grows so quickly. But when you consciously notice the little things you're doing right, you balance that tendency. You remind yourself that you are not just a collection of mistakes. You are also a collection of efforts, actions, and choices that matter. For just 3 days, try keeping a mental list or even writing down one win each day. It could be something simple like drinking enough water, making a phone call you were avoiding, or smiling at someone who needed it. These are not small in value, they are small in appearance. When repeated, these seemingly small things create a foundation for bigger successes. It is like laying one brick at a time until one day you realize you have built a strong wall. If you never appreciate the brick, you will never see the wall. There is also another beautiful effect of acknowledging small wins. It builds gratitude. Gratitude is not only about thanking others, it is also about thanking yourself for showing up. When you look back at your day and see even one good thing you managed to do, you begin to feel proud instead of defeated. And when you feel proud, your spirit grows stronger, ready to face tomorrow with more resilience. The truth is, the journey of transformation does not happen in one giant leap. It happens in tiny steps, in daily choices, in little acts that may seem invisible to the world, but are deeply powerful for you. The strength to keep going does not come from waiting for one big moment of success. It comes from realizing that you are already succeeding in small ways each day. For 3 days, practice this awareness. Acknowledge the small wins, no matter how minor they look, because those little wins are like sparks. And when you gather enough sparks, they create the fire that lights up your entire. Perfection is a trap that keeps so many people from living fully. It whispers that unless everything is flawless, it is worthless. It convinces you that if you make a mistake, you are a failure. And if you are not the best, you are nothing at all. That kind of thinking steals joy, kills creativity, and makes life feel like a constant competition. But when you remind yourself that growth is more important than perfection, you free yourself from that heavy burden. Growth is about progress, not flawless performance. It is about becoming a little better today than you were yesterday, even if the change is small. When you focus on growth, every mistake becomes a lesson instead of a judgment. Falling short is no longer the end. It becomes part of the process. Perfection says you must never fall, but growth says each fall teaches you how to rise stronger. And rising stronger is what truly transforms you. No one in this world has reached success without stumbling many times along the way. The difference between those who keep moving and those who stay stuck is not perfection, it is the willingness to grow. Think about how a seed turns into a tree. It does not sprout fully formed in one day. It goes through stages: tiny sprout, fragile stem, small branches, before it becomes strong and tall. At every stage it is not perfect, but it is growing, and that growth is enough. In the same way, you are allowed to be in process. You are allowed to be unfinished, imperfect, and still becoming. What matters is that you are moving forward, even if it is only a step at a time. When you let go of perfection, you also let go of the fear of trying. Many people do not begin because they worry they cannot do it perfectly. They never write, never speak, never create, never chase their dreams, because they are waiting for the moment when everything feels just right. But that moment never comes. Growth happens in the middle of the mess, in the middle of imperfection, in the middle of effort that feels clumsy. If you wait for perfect conditions, you will wait forever. But if you choose growth, you can start where you are, with what you have, and improve along the way. Reminding yourself daily that growth is the true goal changes the way you see yourself. Instead of asking, "Did I do it perfectly?" you begin asking, "Did I learn something today?" That question opens your heart to celebrate progress rather than punish yourself for imperfection. It allows you to look at your journey with patience instead of frustration. And that patience is what gives you the strength to keep moving forward. For 3 days, practice this mindset intentionally. When you find yourself obsessing over doing something perfectly, pause and say, "Growth matters more." If your work is not flawless, tell yourself, "This is a step, and every step counts." If you fail at something, remind yourself, "This is not the end. This is part of my growth." The more you repeat these truths, the more they will sink into your heart, and the less control perfection will have over you. Life was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to be lived, experienced, and learned from. Every challenge, every setback, every effort shapes you into someone stronger and wiser. Perfection does not build resilience, but growth does. Perfection does not teach patience, but growth does. Perfection does not lead to fulfillment, but growth does. And when you finally embrace growth as your true path, you will realize that being perfect was never the goal. Becoming your best self, step by step, was the goal all along. There is a hidden power in the moments when life slows us down, because those pauses often reveal truths we would have missed if everything had continued moving at full speed. Sometimes we see delays as denials, but many times they are simply divine detours meant to protect us from something we cannot yet see. When a door closes, we often stand in front of it, frustrated, questioning, and even angry. But what we forget is that some doors are shut to save us from walking into harm. A delay in our plans may actually be the alignment of a greater plan that has been set for us long before we even imagined it. In those waiting seasons, patience is not just about enduring time. It is about trusting that time itself is working for us. The space between our desire and its fulfillment becomes the place where character is built, where humility is learned, and where trust is strengthened. Without those pauses, we might run ahead of ourselves, only to crash into something we were never prepared to face. Think about how nature works. A farmer does not plant seeds in the soil today and expect a harvest tomorrow. There is a season of waiting, of watering, of nurturing, and only then does growth become visible. During that hidden time, the seed is still working, still transforming, still preparing for its appointed moment. The same principle applies to our life. Delays do not mean nothing is happening. They mean something is happening underneath the surface that we cannot yet see. Growth is taking place in hidden places, preparing us for the fruit that will eventually appear. The person who learns to trust the unseen process becomes stronger because they are no longer shaken by the silence of waiting. They understand that silence does not mean absence. It means preparation. In these seasons, impatience is the greatest enemy. Impatience leads us to grasp for shortcuts, to force outcomes, to settle for less than what was intended for us. But patience gives us the strength to hold on, knowing that what is meant for us cannot be taken away. Patience is not passive, it is active trust. It is choosing to believe when every external sign seems to say otherwise. This kind of patience shapes the heart and mind in ways that comfort never could. Waiting stretches us, molds us, and teaches us that fulfillment is not found in instant gratification, but in the endurance of the journey. Every delay has the power to shape us into someone who can handle the very blessing we are waiting for. Often when we look back at our lives, we can see how certain delays were actually gifts. The job we did not get made space for the career we were truly called to pursue. The relationship that ended freed us for one that was built on deeper foundation. The opportunity that seemed lost only redirected us to something more aligned with who we are meant to become. What felt like disappointment in the moment was actually protection, redirection, or preparation. The perspective of hindsight often reveals that the waiting was never wasted, but was working all along to bring us into alignment with something greater. Delays also teach us gratitude. When something comes too easily or too quickly, it is easy to take it for granted. But when you have waited, prayed, sacrificed, and endured, the moment of fulfillment becomes far more precious. The blessing carries weight because it was not cheap. It was refined through the fire of patience. That gratitude makes us careful stewards of what we receive, and it reminds us that good things truly take time. What we gain after waiting is not just the fulfillment of a desire, but also the transformation of ourselves into someone who values, cherishes, and protects what has been given. In this way, the waiting season is not just about the destination, it is about the person we become along the way. There is a strange way in which life often works, because sometimes the very situations that appear as obstacles are the ones that end up shaping us into stronger and wiser individuals. When difficulties come, they rarely announce themselves politely. They arrive suddenly, uninvited, and often at the worst possible time. These moments test not only our strength, but also our patience, our faith, and our ability to hold on when everything inside us feels like letting go. The truth is that these challenges are not here to destroy us, but to refine us. Just like fire purifies gold, trials refine the soul. When a person passes through the fire of hardship, the unnecessary parts of their character, pride, fear, doubt, insecurity, are often burned away, leaving behind a clearer, stronger version of themselves. Pain often feels unbearable when we are in the middle of it. But once the storm clears, we realize that it has carved depth into us, giving us an understanding and wisdom we did not have before. Think of a seed buried deep under the soil. In the darkness, surrounded by pressure and weight, it begins to push upward toward the light. Without that dark, hidden place, the seed would never sprout, never become what it was meant to be. In the same way, the challenges we face are like the soil pressing against us, forcing us to grow stronger, to push higher, and to reach our potential. Many people want the fruit of growth, but are unwilling to endure the soil of struggle. Yet the soil is necessary, the darkness is necessary, the weight is necessary. Because it is in those hidden seasons that roots go deeper. Strong roots prepare us for greater heights, and those roots can only grow in seasons where everything feels uncertain and heavy. When we are going through trials, it is easy to ask, why me, why now? But perhaps the better question is, what is this teaching me? What strength am I discovering within myself that I did not know before? Struggles force us to discover resilience, determination, and inner strength that would have remained hidden if life had always been easy. A person who has never faced pain may appear strong, but when storms come, they often collapse because their strength was never tested. Real strength is built in the moments of pressure, in the nights of tears, in the days where quitting feels easier, but persistence becomes the choice. Every scar carries a story, and those stories often become a source of encouragement for others who are walking through their own struggle. Another important thing to understand is that challenges also teach us empathy. When you have never walked through pain, it is easy to look at others and judge them, to think they are weak for struggling. But once you have faced your own battles, your heart becomes softer, your words become kinder, and your outlook becomes more compassionate. You realize that everyone is fighting something, even if you cannot see it. This empathy is a gift, because it allows you to connect with people at a deeper level. Sometimes your greatest ministry or impact in life will not come from your successes, but from the pain you endured and overcame, because your scars will speak louder than your trophies ever could. The people who inspire us most are rarely those who had it easy, but those who faced the storms of life and kept walking. Their stories remind us that pain has a purpose, that challenges are not meaningless, and that even in the hardest seasons, something is being built within us that will carry us into greater seasons ahead. The very battles that once threatened to break us often become the foundation on which we build our future, and those foundations are unshakable because they were laid with resilience, courage, and faith. When negative thoughts enter the mind, they rarely come softly. They come like storms, sudden and loud, repeating the same heavy words again and again until you start believing them. They tell you that you are not good enough, that you will never succeed, that your life will always remain the same. And the more you allow those thoughts to stay, the more they take root inside you, shaping the way you feel and act. But here is the truth. You have the power to replace them. You cannot always control when they appear, but you can decide what to do once they arrive. Instead of letting them dictate your story, you can choose to replace them with hope-filled words. Hope does not erase reality, but it changes the way you carry it. When your mind says you are too weak to handle this, replace it with, I have faced challenges before, and I will face this too. When the voice whispers, you are falling behind, enter it with, I am moving at my own pace, and my journey is unique. These small shifts in language slowly teach your mind that it does not have to believe every dark thought that passes through. By replacing negativity with hope, you train yourself to see possibilities instead of barriers. It is important to understand that negative thoughts are not the enemy, they are signals. They reveal your fears, your insecurities, and the wounds you carry. But once you recognize them, you do not have to let them rule your life. That is where the practice of replacement comes in. For 3 days, commit to this exercise. Every time you catch yourself thinking something discouraging, pause and consciously choose a hopeful response. Even if you do not fully believe the hopeful thought at first, say it anyway. Words have a way of carving pathways in the mind, and the more often you walk those pathways, the stronger they become. Replacing negative thoughts is also an act of self-protection. Just as you would shield yourself from a harsh storm by finding shelter, you shield your soul from despair by choosing hopeful language. The storm may still rage outside, but inside you there will be calm. Over time, this practice builds inner resilience. Life will still bring challenges, but instead of being crushed by them, you will find yourself rising with a little more courage each time. Many people believe they must wait for hope to come naturally, as if it is something that appears on its own. But hope is something you can create through the words you choose. It is a decision, a practice, a habit. By replacing dark thoughts with words of possibility, you are planting seeds in the soil of your mind, and those seeds, when watered with repetition, grow into strength, confidence, and faith. Think about how different your day would feel if instead of repeating the phrase, I can't, you whispered to yourself, I will try. That one change shifts the energy complete. I can't shuts the door before you even touch the handle, but I will try leaves the door open, even if only a little. It gives space for effort, and effort creates progress. And when progress appears, no matter how small, it feeds hope even more. For 3 days, try treating your mind like a garden. When weeds of negativity grow, do not let them spread. Uproot them gently and replace them with seeds of encouragement. Be patient with yourself, because gardens do not transform overnight. But if you keep planting hope where fear once lived, you will one day look back and realize that the storm inside you has calmed, and what remains is a field of strength that no negativity can easily destroy. When you tell yourself, I can't, you close the door on possibility before you even knock. Those two small words carry so much weight, and they have the power to shape your actions without you even realizing it. Every time you repeat them, you convince your mind that the effort is not worth it, that you are already defeated before you begin. But the moment you change those words to I will try, trying does not guarantee perfection, but it guarantees movement, and movement is what creates growth. Saying I will try is an act of courage. It is a declaration that even though the outcome is uncertain, you are willing to take the first step. And that first step matters more than you think. Great journeys never begin with certainty. They begin with willingness. When a child takes their first step, they do not know if they will fall or succeed, but they try anyway. And even if they stumble, each attempt strengthens them. In the same way, telling yourself I will try is giving yourself permission to learn through experience, rather than giving up through fear. The words you use shape the beliefs you carry. I can't ties you to your limitations, but I will try connects you to your potential. You may not know how to do something yet, but trying opens the door to discovery. It invites new ideas, new strength, and new opportunities that would never appear if you stayed frozen in doubt. Every time you choose I will try, you expand your possibility. You are no longer trapped by what you think you cannot do. You are free to explore what you might be able to do. For 3 days, practice catching yourself when you are about to say I can't. Replace it with I will try. Notice how your energy changes the moment you do that. Instead of feeling stuck, you will feel a spark of movement inside. Even if the task ahead seems huge, that small decision to try breaks the weight of fear. You may not finish everything at once, but you will begin. And beginning is always the hardest part. Think about how many opportunities in life are lost because people convince themselves they cannot. They never write the book, start the project, learn the skill, or chase the dream, because they let those two words stop them. But if they had only been willing to try, they might have discovered talents and strengths they never knew they had. Trying does not promise success, but it always promises growth. And sometimes growth is more valuable than success itself, because growth builds the foundation for everything else to come. When you say I will try, you are also showing kindness to yourself. You are no longer demanding perfection or expecting instant results. You are simply giving yourself permission to make an effort, to move one step forward and to see where it leads. This gentle approach allows you to breathe, to relax, and to trust the process instead of fearing it. And when you look back after those 3 days, you will realize that many of the things you thought you could never do were not impossible at all. They only required a little willingness. Your journey is not defined by how quickly you succeed, but by how bravely you continue to try. Every attempt teaches you something, every step builds your strength, and every effort brings you closer to the life you want. So change the way you speak to yourself. Refuse to shut the door with I can't. Instead, open it wide with I will try, and watch how much more of life you allow yourself to experience. When you begin to see your inner voice as your strongest cheerleader, something within you starts to shift. For most of us, the voice inside our head has been shaped by years of comparison, criticism, and self-doubt. We have been told by society, by circumstances, and sometimes even by people we love, that we are not enough, not capable, not worthy. Those words settle into our thoughts and eventually become the voice we carry everywhere with us. But the truth is that voice can be rewritten. It can be reshaped to become a source of encouragement rather than condemnation, of strength rather than fear. When you consciously decide to change the tone of how you speak to yourself, you discover that you don't need external validation. to keep moving forward, because your own inner words become the fuel that keeps you going. Imagine walking into a room where someone you trust looks at you with a smile and says, "I believe in you." Those words have the power to calm your nerves, ease your doubts, and give you the courage to step forward. Now imagine if those words came not from someone else, but from within yourself, every single day. Instead of waiting for encouragement from others, you carry it with you wherever you go. This is what happens when your inner voice becomes your cheerleader. It doesn't mean you ignore your flaws or challenges, but it means you meet them with compassion instead of criticism. You say to yourself, "I am learning, I am growing, I am capable of handling this." That mindset doesn't erase difficulties, but it makes them less intimidating. When you encourage yourself, you create an atmosphere of resilience. Challenges no longer feel like walls. They begin to look like stepping stones. Failure stops feeling like the end. It starts looking like feedback. A cheerleader doesn't tell you that you will never fall. A cheerleader reminds you to get up when you do. That is the role your inner voice can play in your life. Every time you stumble, it can whisper, "Keep going." Every time you feel weak, it can remind you, "You've made it through before, and you can make it through again." The more you practice this kind of inner dialogue, the more natural it becomes, until eventually, positive self-talk replaces negative self-talk as your default setting. The words we speak to ourselves matter because they shape our beliefs, and our beliefs shape our reality. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not enough, you will shrink back from opportunities and hide from challenges. But if you tell yourself that you are capable, that you are resilient, that you are worthy, you will step into situations with a completely different energy. That energy attracts possibilities, because people respond not just to what you do, but to how you carry yourself. Confidence is not about pretending to have it all together. It is about knowing you can face life even when you don't. That kind of confidence is born in the quiet conversations you have with yourself when no one else is listening. Think about it, the longest relationship you will ever have is with yourself. Friends may come and go, circumstances may change, but you will always live with your own thoughts. So why not make that relationship a kind one? Why not become your own biggest supporter, your own motivator, your own believer? The voice you carry within can either tear you down or build you up. Choosing to make it your cheerleader means you never face life alone, because encouragement is always within reach. All it takes is the decision to stop speaking defeat over yourself and start speaking life. When you shift that voice, you shift your world, because the way you talk to yourself determines the way you show up for everything else in life. When you think about the way you speak to yourself, pause for a moment and compare it with the way you speak to the people you love. If your best friend came to you after failing at something, would you tell them they are useless, unworthy, or incapable? No, you would probably encourage them, remind them of their strengths, and tell them that this one failure does not define their worth. But strangely, when it comes to ourselves, we use words that we would never dare to use on anyone else. We are often our own harshest critics, our own biggest enemies, and yet what we need most is to become our own greatest source of love. Talking to yourself like you would talk to someone you love is not a luxury. It is a necessity for survival. The truth is, you cannot thrive in a relationship where you are constantly judged and belittled, and that includes the relationship you have with yourself. If you keep tearing yourself down with cruel words, you will eventually believe them, and your actions will reflect that belief. But when you choose to speak with kindness and patience, you give yourself the space to grow without fear. You create an environment where mistakes are lessons rather than punishments, and where effort is celebrated even if results are not perfect. Love is gentle, forgiving, and patient, and that is exactly how you need to treat yourself. When you stumble, instead of saying "I always fail," try saying "I'm learning and I'll get better." When you feel tired and overwhelmed, instead of saying "I'm weak," try saying "I've carried so much today, I deserve rest." This shift in language may seem small, but it carries the power to change the way you see yourself entirely. You start to feel cared for from within, and that feeling builds resilience. Talking to yourself like someone you love also means recognizing your humanity. Just as you accept the imperfections of people close to you, you must also accept your own flaws without shame. No one you love is perfect, and yet you still see their beauty, their value, and their worth. Why should it be different when it comes to you? Perfection is not a requirement for love, and it should never be a requirement for self-love. When you treat yourself with the same tenderness you offer others, you begin to realize that your worth was never dependent on perfection in the first place. There will be days when your inner critic tries to take over, when old patterns of self-judgment rise to the surface. But in those moments, you have a choice. You can either continue feeding that voice, or you can silence it with compassion. Imagine yourself holding the hand of the person you love most, speaking to them with calmness and care. Now imagine giving that same hand, that same tone, that same compassion to yourself. For 3 days, try practicing this intentionally. Catch yourself when you speak with cruelty, and replace those words with the voice of love. With time, you will notice that the relationship you have with yourself begins to heal. Instead of dreading your own thoughts, you will begin to look forward to them, because they will no longer be filled with shame and criticism. They will carry comfort, encouragement, and hope. And when you learn to love yourself through your words, you build an inner strength that no outside negativity can easily break. You become your own safe space, your own supporter, your own constant companion, just like the way you are for those you love.